Hey there, it's Andrea. I want to thank you so much for being here. This is an opportunity for you if you are grieving, particularly if you are grieving a complicated relationship. If you are a widow or a woman who's estranged from a family member or someone who you love and you're grieving their loss, this is a place for you. Maybe you've been told that you're too much for other people, that your feelings are too intense, that your story is too dramatic, all of that. And that you've felt unwelcome and unwanted in other, you know, perhaps with loved ones or other grief groups. Well, you're welcome here. I welcome you with open arms. I can relate to struggling with complicated grief myself. For many years, I've been estranged from my father, and the rejection and the pain of that after so many years of having a close, connected relationship was so devastating to me. Feeling that rejection from the dad who I loved so much made me feel as though I couldn't trust anyone. And consequently, what I did was that drove a wedge. My depression drove a wedge between me and my family, my husband, my kids, my friends. I pushed everybody away. So I know what it's like to struggle with grieving a relationship that is complicated. And if you are here because you right now are feeling like you have a tremendously heavy heart and everybody's getting all excited about the holidays and they want to put up trees and they want to, think about what are they going to eat for celebration dinner, and you're just feeling you have your heart in your hands and you're saying, I don't give a damn. I just want to be left alone. Maybe that's true, and maybe it's not. Um, I became a widow when my husband passed away in on April 21st, 2021. And it was incredibly, incredibly difficult. And I was lucky. My son was really incredible, and he offered to stay with me. Hi there, welcome. He offered to stay with me until I got back on my feet. And the first year after Angel passed away, actually, it was months after he passed away, were so hard. I struggled with so much complicated grief because I was angry, so angry. I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming. If you want to share something, you're welcome to use the chat, or if you want to come up on camera, just FYI, the live stream is being recorded. So if you don't want to be seen on video, then you could either turn off your camera, or better than that, go to the settings and change your name would appear, so you can change your name to anything else if you want. So, hi there. So grieving a complicated loss is very, very messy. It's so messy. And people who don't understand relationships that are left with, just a broken heart and feeling the yearning and the loss of this wonderful, in this case, I'm a widow, this wonderful husband who was always perfect and did everything right. Well, I got to tell you, yes, I had a wonderful husband, but he wasn't perfect. And the last 10 years of our life together were really, really difficult. And good morning. How are you? Would you like to share something? You could just type it in the chat if you like. Oh, can I show your comment on screen? Is that okay? Now, it's been a while since I've used StreamYard, I'm going to tell you. So things are just a little bit different, and I'm a little more rusty than I have been before. So I want to know, is it okay if I can show your comment on screen? Would you like to have a chat? Okay. So it's really difficult when you have a heavy heart and when you are angry. You know, in grief, there are so many different emotions that are like lumped into grief. It's not just sadness at all, it's sadness and anger and denial and guilt and anxiety and fear. Like, wow, it's so much stuff all lumped in together. And it becomes so complicated and so hard when you're angry, also. And you may be angry in the case of the person dying, or in the case of being estranged from someone you love, getting cut off from them, or them doing some harm to you, or betraying you in some way, leaving you with this sense of, why me? How could you do this to me? Why? And several times in my life, including the death of my husband, I had that sense of, how could you do this to me? And that's why I wanted to open up this very unique and special opportunity to other women who have struggled and currently are struggling with the same thing. Because what I have found is that there's a very distinct connection between grief and pain. I'm not talking about emotional pain. That's undeniable. What I am talking about is physical pain. I'm talking about illness developing in the body. I'm talking about health problems that all of a sudden seem to come out of nowhere. Arthritis, diabetes, heart attack, all of these incredibly horrible things that reduce the quality of our life. And I have a belief that it's that unresolved grief that is behind it. I believe that not confronting those feelings that we have head on, not looking at the pain that we're experiencing, and being compassionate with ourselves. Because I don't know about you, but when people have hurt me or betrayed me in the past, I come from a really violent and abusive home where I was raised. And people who have a similar experience throughout childhood and their young adulthood, that's unfortunately, it's like this incredibly horrible comfort zone. It's what you know. And if it's something that you know in a strange way, it's comfortable because it's predictable. You expect it. And there is a whole branch of psychology in relationships that talks about and explains how the relationship that we had with the parent of ours or the caregiver of ours with whom we had the most challenging relationship, that reflects other relationships, particularly the relationship that you have with your husband, spouse, mate, whoever it is, that we unconsciously choose partners that have the same characteristics and the same um, life circumstances and challenges as the parent, as our parent with whom we had the most contentious relationship. So, what do you think of that? Is that something that you feel is true for you? Have you found that you are running through a cycle of relationships where you are being disrespected and unappreciated and undervalued, and people are taking advantage of you? And you try so hard to do everything you possibly can to be lovable. And something inside of you, I'm I don't know you and I respect that, but I'm speaking from my own experience where for me, I have lived with a drive to be loved. Ooh, this is this is raw. I have lived with a drive to be loved coming from my very dysfunctional family and feeling as though I was never seen by my mother and seen too much by a sexually abusive stepfather. So, if you have an experience similar to mine where it wasn't safe to be seen, you have inhibited yourself from feeling your emotions, for feeling safe enough to express your emotions. So, for example, let's say that you had a father who was an alcoholic and he was pretty much emotionally detached for the most part whenever he would drink, and he would get angry, and he would feel, or he would constantly talk about how difficult his life is and how miserable he is. As a child, when we're little, we think that the whole world revolves around us. So, as a young child, with a parent who is telling you, you know, you don't matter, um, I have so many problems, I can't be bothered with you, stop whining, stop crying, shut up, all of these negative messages, you internalize them as a little child, as a baby, and it makes you believe that you have to stay small. You have to be quiet. You have to shut up and take it, whatever it is. And in the process of your life, where you're having relationships and you're um, finding people who are of similar nature to that parent with whom you have that most contentious relationship, you find that you're in this like Groundhog Day where you're going through this cycle of pain over and over and over again. Even though you're an adult, you're going through the same pain that you did as a child, where if you felt unseen to your parents, you felt unseen in other relationships, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your best friend, whether it's your kids. You feel, you walk away. You actually don't walk away. You walk into these relationships with this belief in mind from living with, from being raised in that way, being told you don't matter, you're a piece of garbage. You walk into these relationships as though you have a sign on you saying, you know, I'm garbage. Treat me like garbage. And sorry. And you can't, and there's no reason to blame yourself for this. There's no way that you could know this. There's no way that you could control this, because we are a product of our parents. And our parents are a product of their parents. And so it goes all the way down the line. So blaming anybody doesn't do any good whatsoever. What is the solution? The solution to all of the pain, all of the hurt, being hurt by cheating boyfriends and cheating husbands and people who lie and steal and disrespect you. What is the solution? The solution is learning to love yourself enough that you can move forward confidently and say, no more. Many of the women that I coach, they struggle with toxic family relationships. And that struggle comes as a result of having that comfort zone, thinking, well, this person isn't really that bad. They're ignoring me. They're giving me the silent treatment. They're telling me one thing and doing another. It's not really that bad. Convincing yourself that it's okay. This kind of inconsistent behavior that shows disrespect and hurts you. And if you tell that person many times, if you tell that person, hey, what you're doing is hurting me, they turn it into being about them. And as a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, I have learned how to communicate and to teach women how to communicate more effectively so that you can be heard and respected. And one of the things in communication is if you lead with talking about your feelings instead of making it about someone else, there's a better chance that they will actually hear you. So, for example, if you say, you always, let's see, you never listen to me. You never tell me you love me. You never um, give me a chance to talk. Instead, if you would say, I feel so hurt when I want to say something, but I don't feel like I can. Or I really feel sad when I want to be closer to you and you turn away from me, or you reach for the TV remote and ignore me. Do you see the difference? It's a slight difference. If you would hear that, if you would be on the receiving end of that, you would feel differently, as opposed to if someone just says, oh, it's all your fault. You did it. You always do this. You never listen. Now, understand me. I am not in any way saying that there's any reason whatsoever for you to blame yourself. Not at all. But despite the way you may feel, especially if you're a widow, there's a good chance that somewhere down the road you will have another relationship. And if your relationship with your spouse, your husband, your wife, your lover was contentious and difficult, the only change that you can expect is not with another person, but with you. So, for example, coming from the family that I did, living with so much drama and fear and uncertainty, and so much dysfunction, when I met my husband, he was so different. He was so loving, and he talked to me and he listened to me. And everything was good for a lot of years. Now, the thing that wasn't good, that I told myself was okay, was the fact that when we first got together, when we first met and married like a year later, he was a drinker. And when my stepfather, George, the sexually abusive stepfather, when he would drink, he would turn into a monster. And when he wouldn't drink, he was nice. He was kind-hearted. He was respectful. I don't know if you can relate to that, where you see a parent or a caregiver one way, and then something happens without even, being able to put your finger on it, and all of a sudden there's something else, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So my husband was really sweet and really loving. And even when he drank, he was the same. And so that messed with my mind. And I kept wondering, well, when is he going to turn into a monster like George? I'm so scared. And I lived with this fear inside of my head of when is the nightmare going to happen. Now, I don't know if you can relate to living in your head, because I have done it for a really long time. And basically, when you're in that space where you're living in your head, you're stuck in the past. If you've had the kind of upbringing as me, where there has been maybe alcoholism or mental illness or abuse, physical neglect, any of those things, you're used to being treated, wow, like you're not important. And if you learn to accept that as true, in my book, Loving the Skin You're In, The Juicy Woman's Guide to Making Peace with Food and Friends with Your Body. I don't know where it is, but let me see if I could find it. It's really good. It's a short quote. I'm not seeing it. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't find it. I'll take one more moment. Too bad. But anyway, what it basically says is that the more often that people lie to you and shout at you, and the more intensity it comes with, the more you're inclined to believe those lies as true. So it was said so beautifully by a minister. I was in church one day and I heard that during the time when I was writing my book, and I said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have to write this. I will definitely get back to you on that. But that's what it is. Those thoughts that you have, that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve better things, whatever it is that has been done to you by others, whether it's the betrayal or the abuse or the addiction that they lived with, and as a result, all of these other behaviors that were hurtful affected you. All of those things, everything without exception is an opportunity for you to love yourself more. 3 days before my husband passed away. No, I'm sorry. 3 days before his funeral. Now, let me go back even more. Because my stepfather sexually abused me, I never felt protected by my mother. And it was very confusing as a child seeing him go from one type of behavior. He was a school teacher, okay? He was a school teacher and a tutor. He would bring, young girls would come to the house and he would tutor them in math. And nobody, perhaps, but me or his other victims knew that he was a pedophile. Nobody. I don't know if my mother knew. I have no idea. But we're just not close. Where was I? So living with shame, living with secrets, living with pain really hurts. And it makes a mark, leaves an emotional scar on you. And it's kind of like if you fall down and you break your leg and you don't get medical treatment or anything like that, it's not going to heal correctly. It may be functional, but it will not be well functioning. There's a chance that the bone will, you won't be able to put all of your weight on that limb. There's a chance that the break will cause a misalignment. And so you'll find that when you walk, let's say it's that you break your leg, when you walk, you're going to limp and favor the other leg. You're going to compensate. You're going to make up for the pain by trying not to lean into it. And so it's kind of the same way if you've been raised in an abusive household. You've been hurt. You've been emotionally scarred. And you know what that's like to feel so unsafe. So you're going to venture out into the world anticipating the worst because you're going to do your best to protect yourself. And the people that will be attracted by that many times will be either people who are in the same position as you, where they're also trying to nurse their own wounds, or other people who will take advantage of your weakness. So, grief. Grief during the holidays. Wow. What's it like? What's it like for you right now? how are you feeling? It is so hard trying to put up a brave face and a brave front, like, oh yeah, I'm just fine, let's celebrate. Hell no. I was just speaking with a fellow widow yesterday, and she was saying how, you know, her husband has been gone for many years, and there's still a very, very big part of her that is grieving his loss. And she doesn't want to go out and she doesn't want to celebrate. And the holidays mean nothing to her. And as a result, all of her friends who are saying, come on, you just have to get out and you just have to start dating. And, you know, let's go hang out and let's make some plans. They don't get it. They don't understand that there is no timeline on grief. None. There's no timeline on grief. It's not like, you know, from the time that a person dies, a clock is running, and that at the 2-month point or the 3-month point, that's it. You're done. You're finished grieving. No, it's really not like that. Grief can last a lifetime. And what I have found is that the more you're able to find closure and to make peace with the person who has either hurt you, abused you, betrayed you, and perhaps also died, or someone from whom you're estranged, and any combination of those things, the more you can recognize that it's up to you to provide closure for you, the stronger you will be. Because sometimes, many times, the people who hurt you, they're not expecting to come back into your life and say, hey, you know why I did this? I did it for this reason. I didn't mean to hurt you. I did it because I was hurting. You can never reasonably expect that you're going to get that. Never. Absolutely never. But the truth is that that is the truth. The things that people do that hurt you, that hurt us, believe it or not, it's not personal. It's not personal. It's just that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you got hurt. It may sound ridiculous, I know. But people are always doing the best they can with what they know. Remember, I told you that our parents and their parents and their parents and grandparents and on and on and on go into all that input of all the unspoken rules and all of the way we do things, all of that, all of those family secrets and all of those um, feelings of like, well, this is the way things are done. It's always been done, so I'm going to do it the same way. You know, little girls should be seen and not heard, and people thinking, let me mute this a minute. So it's not personal. The things that have been done to you by others, the horrible, horrible, horrible atrocities and betrayals, it's not personal. I know it sounds crazy, but just take a moment and think about it. Think about a tiger with a thorn in its paw. Don't you think that that tiger, if it had a thorn in its paw, would be violent and angry and roar and want to bite anybody who came near it? Yeah. So it's the same way for the people who enter our lives and do harm. Hurt people, hurt people. And if you are in a situation where you're grieving the loss of a hurt person who you loved, who you trusted, who you believed in, who you gave endless chances to, and they broke your trust, and they hurt you or betrayed you, it's because they did it, because that's the only thing they knew how to do. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were reacting out of their pain and taking it out on you. So by thinking that you cannot go on without getting their apology, without them begging for forgiveness, that is just not something that's going to happen, because they're not at that level of understanding that, first of all, they probably don't have it to give. They don't value it in any way. They don't value themselves in any way. So consequently, they demonstrated that they didn't value you by hurting you. But it's not because there's anything wrong with you. So what I have found is the best way of moving forward with your grief, to give it a chance to breathe, is to start paying attention to what you need. Start recognizing that you are now the nurturer. Maybe you didn't get that kind of nurturing that you wanted from your family, your mom, your dad, your grandmother, aunts and uncles. And people were struggling with their own memories of abuse or addictive substances or whatever the case may be, where they could not appreciate you and respect you because they did not have that for themselves. They weren't given those tools by their parents and their parents and their parents. So they didn't have it to give you. So if, like me, you have a similar situation where you came into your relationship feeling broken, and then you entered it and took on more of the feeling of being more broken, and you were hurt time after time after time again, I want you to recognize that those hurts that you've endured, they are actually giving you the possibility, the seed of hope, of strength. In January, I'm going to be starting a membership, and I will be giving you, through these free grief sessions, these grief relief sessions, all the way through January 9th. On Thursday, January 9th, when it ends, I'm going to be giving you a sample of my very unique style of coaching. And I'm going to combine many, many different things for you. Not only will it be talking and teaching and sharing from my own experience, but I'd also like to engage you in feeling more connected with the community. And today it's just talking, but as more women come and share their experiences, I will teach you all how to use the emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT. Emotional freedom technique is a powerful, powerful stress relief method that works like crazy. And I will definitely show you. And along with teaching you how to use EFT to take the edge off of your anxiety and all of your other negative emotions, I will also invite you to take walks with me, to actually start walking. So if you haven't gotten to move, or if you've been stuck at home and taking for granted if you can walk, or even if you're in the house, or even just to move your toes, whatever it is, because I know that grief that is unresolved will seep into your bones and cause pain and illness and disease. So the membership that I'm going to be offering in January will be talking about, it's called Love Your Way to Wellness. It's the next step beyond grief relief, recognizing that it's you. It's up to you to love yourself. That if you come upon people who don't love you, who can't love you, who haven't loved you enough, or given you that sense of being appreciated, now it's up to you. You're going to carry the torch for yourself. You're going to become your own best nurturer. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity to share a lot of wonderful experiences through this upcoming holiday, from right now, today, through to January 9th. And I want to give you this series, this live stream series, as a way of giving you perspective So maybe, just maybe, it could take just a little bit of an edge off of your grief. Just a little bit. To know that you are perfect exactly as you are. And it's by recognizing and internalizing that awareness that despite the fact that you were not, despite the fact that you feel as though you got the shorter end of the stick, or that you were born under an unlucky star, or you were told that you were not good enough, whatever it is, it was lies. You are perfect exactly as you are. So being here in the space with me in this grief relief live stream series, I hope to give you the awareness that now you're the one. You're the one who's able to move forward. Because, as I had mentioned earlier, I talked about closure. And I think perhaps one of the toughest things when you're grieving is finding closure. And when you're in a space where you're grieving a complicated relationship with someone who didn't give you everything you needed, maybe they lied or they cheated, maybe there was infidelity, it's important to know that you now have a chance to rewrite your ending. You know, maybe you've been walking around thinking, oh, it's all my fault. He wouldn't have done this if I wouldn't have, if I wouldn't have gained weight, or if I would have been prettier, if I would have done more. No, 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 and no. People will do what they do. It wasn't done to you, it was done for you. If you've been cheated on, lied to, and betrayed, it wasn't done to you, it was done for you. It is ugly, it is messy, it is painful as hell. But when you get to the other end of that dark tunnel, you will recognize that you're still standing and you're stronger and better than ever. So I look forward to the opportunity to having you come to the next grief support live stream session, free now until January 9th, when it turns into the Love Your Way to Wellness membership. I'm really, really looking forward to helping you and giving you tools so that you could take the edge off of the intense grief that you're feeling. Okay. My heart is with you. So if you have not already signed up, make sure that you sign up using the link below. And then that way you will get advance invitations and notices of my upcoming grief relief support chats like this. And we'll cook together, we'll walk together, we'll talk together. And that will give you a sense of creating safety for yourself and creating a belief, a new belief that you deserve peace and safety and good things. So I look forward to the opportunity of working with you and working on this path with you. Have a great day. Bye now.